Right now, out on the open ocean, there is a ship so large it can barely be captured in a single photo. It is longer than the tallest skyscraper is tall. On its deck, it carries over 20,000 steel containers. Stacked end to end, they would stretch for more than 100 kilometers. Inside those containers is almost everything. The phone in your hand, the clothes you are wearing, the furniture in your home. Nearly all of it crossed an ocean on a ship like this. And here is the strange part. This floating giant is run by a crew of only about 20 people. So how does a single ship carry enough to supply an entire country? And how does it cross the planet using less energy than you might ever expect? Let us break it down. The secret to modern shipping is not the ship. It is the box. This simple steel container changed the entire world. Before it existed, cargo was loaded piece by piece, by hand. It was slow. It was expensive. A single ship could sit in port for weeks, just being loaded and unloaded. Then came the standard container. Every one is built to the same fixed sizes. That one idea made everything else possible. Because they are all the same shape, containers stack together perfectly, like giant building blocks. They lock into each other and into the ship, so they do not shift at sea. And the same box fits on a ship, a truck, and a train. Goods can travel across the world without ever being unpacked. From a factory in Asia to a store near you, the box never has to be opened. This is why loading now takes hours instead of weeks. Think about what that really changed. Before the container, moving goods across the world was so slow and costly that most products never traveled far. After it, the cost of shipping almost anything dropped dramatically. Suddenly, a factory on one side of the planet could sell to the other side. In many ways, the world we live in today was built on top of this simple steel box. Now, for the obvious question, how does something this heavy, made of steel and packed with cargo, not sink? The answer is a principle discovered thousands of years ago. When the ship sits in the water, it pushes a huge amount of water out of the way, and the water pushes back, holding the ship up. As long as the ship weighs less than the water it pushes aside, it floats. This is why the hull is so wide and deep. Its huge shape pushes aside an enormous amount of water, creating enough upward force to hold thousands of tons of cargo. But balance matters too. If one side is heavier, the ship could lean or roll. So the ship has ballast tanks. It can pump water in and out of these tanks to stay level and steady, no matter how the cargo is loaded. There is also a careful limit to how much a ship can carry. On the side of every hull is a special marking. It shows how deep the ship is allowed to sit in the water. Load it too heavy, and it rides dangerously low. This simple line has saved countless ships and lives over the years. Moving a floating city across the ocean takes an incredible amount of power, and deep inside the ship is one of the largest engines ever built. These engines are the size of a house. A person standing next to one barely reaches the height of a single piston. They are among the most powerful engines on Earth. The engine turns a long shaft, which runs to a single massive propeller at the back of the ship. That propeller pushes against the water and drives the whole ship forward. The propeller alone can be taller than a 2-story building. Each slow, powerful turn moves the ship forward through the sea. But here is what surprises most people. For the amount it carries, a cargo ship is incredibly efficient. Moving one container by ship uses far less fuel than moving it by truck or plane. Spread across 20,000 containers, the cost to move each one becomes tiny. That efficiency is the real reason global shipping works. To save even more fuel, these ships often travel slowly on purpose. It is called slow steaming. By reducing speed just a little, a ship can cut its fuel use by a huge amount. A few extra days at sea can save an enormous amount of money and fuel. When you move this much cargo, even a small saving on each container adds up to a fortune. A ship this big cannot just point at the horizon and go. It has to be carefully guided across thousands of kilometers of open water. Modern ships use GPS and electronic charts to know exactly where they are. The route is planned in advance, following the safest and most efficient path across the sea. Radar and tracking systems watch for other vessels, so ships do not collide, even in fog or darkness. Every large ship also broadcasts its identity and position, so others always know it is there. And steering this giant is done with a single rudder at the back. By turning that rudder, the crew can guide tens of thousands of tons through narrow channels and busy ports with remarkable precision. Remember, all of this is run by only about 20 people, so almost everything is automated. Computers constantly watch the engine, the fuel, the balance, and the position. The crew monitors these systems and steps in when they are needed. Refrigerated containers, carrying food and medicine, are watched to keep them cold for the entire voyage. The crew live on the ship for months at a time. A single voyage can cross multiple oceans, taking weeks to arrive. They work in shifts, keeping the ship running day and night. The journey often passes through narrow canals and busy straits. These shortcuts save thousands of kilometers, and they are some of the most important and crowded points in the entire world of trade. When the ship finally arrives, it meets another marvel of engineering, the modern port. Towering cranes reach over the ship and lift the containers off, one after another. Many of these cranes and vehicles are now automated, moving containers with incredible speed and precision. Within hours, the containers are placed onto trucks and trains. From there, they fan out across the country, heading to warehouses and stores. The box that crossed an ocean continues its journey without ever being opened. So the next time you unbox something new, think about the journey it took. It likely crossed an entire ocean, stacked among thousands of others, on a steel giant run by just a handful of people. These ships are the quiet engine of the modern world, a vast, invisible network moving almost everything we own across the seas every single day. Most of us never see it, but without it, the world as we know it would simply stop. And that raises a new question. We move goods across the whole planet, but how do we move something you cannot see, cannot store easily, and need instantly, everywhere, all at once? How does electricity reach your home the exact moment you flip a switch? That is the next video on System Logic. If you learned something new today, subscribe, because the world is full of invisible systems, and we are just getting started.